When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when every ghost in the haunted mansion is present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. Welcome, foolish mortals, to part 2 of Every Ghost in the Haunted Mansion Explained, where, in part 1, I brought you through the broad strokes of all the major set pieces and characters. But now it is time to dive even deeper into the moldering sanctum of the spirit world, where, in this mansion home to supposedly 999 happy haunts, we will uncover the true number of specters that roam these halls, both visible and unseen. Now, as they say, look alive, and we will continue our tour. And let's all leave a like and ring the bell icon, please. Our tour begins before we even enter the mansion itself in the Magic Kingdom, where we see some of our guests in their corruptible, mortal busts. Pictured here we have the Dredd family: Uncle Jacob Dredd, Bertie Dredd, Aunt Florence McGriffin Dredd, Wellington and Forsythia Dredd, and Cousin Maud Dredd, I'm assuming. They were a family of 6 who once inhabited this manor before one day they all met their gruesome fate at each other's hands. Uncle Jacob poisoned by Bertie for his wealth, who was then shot dead by Florence as an act of revenge, who was then smothered by birdseed by Forsythia and Wellington, who were then killed in their sleep with a mallet by Cousin Maud, who, as the sole surviving member of the Dredd family, burned to death because she liked to use matches in her hair instead of hairpins. So, really amazing thinking there, Cousin Maud. And now the Dredd family is no more, and haunt the halls of this esteemed mansion. After which we pass the composer's crypt, containing a pipe organ and all different sorts of instruments you can summon from regions beyond, marked with Ravenscroft, a reference to Thurl Ravenscroft, who is the voice of one of the singing busts.
Never heard of sugar frosted flakes? They're great!
Yes, and Tony the Tiger. After visiting Ravenscroft's tomb, we pass by Prudence Pock's poetry parlor, a poetess who needs our help to finish her poems while we wait in line, and then we go visit Captain Culpepper Klein. That rhymed, I'm a poet, and I definitely did know it. Bringing the actual amount of ghosts we see and interact with before we even enter the building up to 4. Yes, that includes the horse. Spirits that we do not see and are just referenced through tombstones include Francis Xavier, Brother Dave, Uncle Meow, Gordon, Captain Gore, Harriet, Campbell, Mr. Freeze, Ken, Brother Roland, Uncle Blaine, Grandpa Mark, Brother Claude, Wathel Bender, Old Fred, Cousin Hewitt, Martin, Mr. Sewell, and those are most of the tombstones we find outside, bringing the grand total of ghosts in the mansion before we even set foot into it at Walt Disney World to 31 spirits. Nice. Only 968 more to go. But that's only at Walt Disney World. Disneyland does not have the interactive queue, and so we only get the tombstones and, of course, the pets in the pet cemetery. They are Grandpa Mark, Brother Claude, Francis Xavier, Cousin Victor, Rollo Rumpkin, Wathel Bender, Cam Irving, M. Dibjib, Esteban Pine, Julia Shrub, Bradford Clement, Rosie the Pig, 1 cat, 4 birds, Buddy the dog, Fifi, 1 rabbit, 1 squirrel, 1 bat, 1 fish, 1 rat, Jeb the spider, my old guy, 1 snake, Old Flybait, and Stripey the skunk. And who could forget Master Gracie's tombstone? Bringing the total number of spirits outside of Disneyland's mansion to an even 30, 1 less than Walt Disney World's mansion, even though there's no interactive queue. Those birds really help buff up those numbers, may I just say. Oh, but your math is wrong. At Walt Disney World, there's this person and this person. I know, they're inside the house. Let's go inside, come on. I mean, enter, if you dare, into the parlor of our humble abode, where you see the portrait of the master of the mansion, Master Gracie, as alluded to by his tombstone outside. There, 32. Our tour then continues in this gallery, where you see paintings of some of our guests as they appeared in their corruptible, mortal state at both coasts. One portrait that we're not going to talk about right now, we're going to reference in the attic. Another where 3 unfortunate men meet their very slow demise. I mean, he could just hop off his shoulders, right? One of the tightrope walker, poor Sally Slater, in the bayou about to be eaten by an alligator. And the last of Alexander Nitrikov, a man standing on top of a barrel of TNT, about to join our 999. Ah, but you can't forget our lovely ghost host, seen hanging above in the rafters, and you would think we're done in the stretching room, but in fact, there happen to be 8 tiny gargoyles surrounding you as you enter the room, and whispering to you as you leave, bringing the total number at Walt Disney World to 46, and at Disneyland to 44. I think I'm right. Okay, let's get a little serious here for a second. In Liberty Square Disney World's mansion, we see a ton of unused changing portraits in the loading area after the stretching rooms, and I'm going to count all of these, don't worry. They are the Arsonist, Jack the Ripper, the Mariner, but that's Captain Culpepper Klein, so we're gonna strike him out. That's the same person. Look at the hat, it's the same hat. This is my video. The ghost host appears here, but we've already counted him, so you're out. The Witch of the Walpurgis, Dracula, and Old Man. Yes, this is Faust. We also see, as we make our way into the attraction on our actual Doom buggies, the couple and April through December. 54 spirits. You know, we're gonna be nitpicky. We're gonna add in the Witch of the Walpurgis cat, bringing us up to 55. Whereas at Disneyland, we have 3 changing portraits. Some strange cat lady, the Black Knight, and his steed, and Medusa. There's also a portrait of Master Gracie, although we have counted him. His tombstone is outside. And this one's a bit problematic. There's a ghost boat. Do we count the ghost boat as a ghost in this list? Because it's a boat. Well, if it's a boat and it's a ghost, it must have had a soul at some point, so sure, we'll count the Flying Dutchman. And then at the end of the changing portrait hallway, we have the 2 busts and of course April through December, but then we pass by the haunted cat statue. There's also spectral light coming from beyond April through December's door right there next to her, so we're gonna count that as well. So, counting the cat and the light and April through December, at Disneyland we are now up to a grand total of 54. So taking that hefty 54 for Disneyland and 55 for Walt Disney World, we're going to finally enter our Doom buggies and begin the ride through. Honestly, making this video, that was the hard part. If you've made it this far, pat yourself on the back. That was very confusing. Lots of different weird tombstones and animals and characters that appear here but not there. For the most part now, I should say for the most part, they're about the same. We'll start with Magic Kingdom's mansion and count until it meets up with Disneyland's when it enters the endless hallway scene. Here, after passing one of the many candelabra ghosts that exist in the haunted mansion, you enter the changing portrait hallway, where we see the crazy cat lady, the boat, the Black Knight, his steed, and of course Medusa. And then enter the library scene, where we see a poltergeist trying his darndest to get a book off of the shelf and not doing very well. Surrounded by 8 of the busts that follow you as you move that we talked about earlier at Disneyland. 70, the phantom piano player in the conservatory. 71, 4 different pairs of footsteps walking up the stairs and blowing out the candles in the endless staircase. 75, and I'm only going to count the eyes that are blinking and alive, not the ones in the wallpaper. That would inflate our numbers dramatically, and that would be so much work. This is assuming as soon as the creatures morph into the wallpaper, they lose their sentience, and this isn't living wallpaper. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on one side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 on the other side. Bringing us to 101, because I am schooling you guys right now on the Haunted Mansion. And now, the rides finally, for the most part, sync up. We now find ourselves in the endless hallway, where every room has wall-to-wall creaks and hot and cold running chills. With a moving suit of armor, another, or the first, candelabra ghost. No, before you ask, the chair is not alive. It's just a spooky-looking chair, okay? It sort of looks like Donald Duck. A totally normal, completely live... Okay, guys, I have a confession to make. I'm not 1,000% sure that this raven is legit. Okay, this might be an undead raven or a possessed raven, a demonic raven, or even just a hyper-intelligent supernatural raven. But either way, I led you all astray the last video, and I'm going to include him in our count. Just this one time though, because I'm of the mindset that the raven we see in this attraction is the same raven throughout all of the different scenes, in Leota's room and in the graveyard, twice. Now they may call me a rebel because this raven is absolutely totally normal. He just got in through one of the broken windows. And if they did call me a rebel, they would be absolutely right. I'm going by my own rules here. But if anything else, this will be the most accurate count of ghosts you'll ever see. Not just a count of the animatronics and different special effects, this is everyone. And let me prove that to you by including every single portrait that's on the wall. Yes, some of them are of the Hatbox Ghost, but he's wearing different hats. See, he's got a crown in this one, he's got a bowler hat in this one, so they're different ghosts. I'm just assuming these are like his identical brothers or something. Now, I don't live close to any haunted mansion. I have to go on an airplane to go to either of them. So, I'm going to do a rough estimate of how many portraits are in this hallway. I've gone through so many ride-through videos, and I've counted about the same each time, so I'm going to average it out. I'm about 99% sure this is accurate. It might be off by 1 or 2 pictures, but the corridor at Walt Disney World has 29 pictures, not including the ghost host. And at Disneyland, I spent way too much time, let me tell you, on Disneyland. I count 19 pictures. It was almost impossible to get a ride-through video that panned back farther than the Master Gracie portrait, but there is one according to this photograph right here. I don't know if it's still there today. This photo was taken a long time ago, but I'm going to count it as photo number 19. I've really been losing my mind over the number of photographs in the corridor of doors, but it puts us at 134 ghosts for Disney World's mansion and 77 for Disneyland's. Those 8 busts, 26 wallpaper creatures, and 29 photos really helped Disney World gain the lead on this one. We then pass by the evil clock and the weird-looking scary hand swiping in front of the clock, which adds a net 2 points to both coasts. And now we arrive in Madame Leota's seance parlor. You were wondering why I wasn't counting her tombstone outside the Walt Disney World mansion. This is why. It's the same person, so we're only going to count her once, Madame Leota. We've already counted the Raven, so he is not going to be added to the total. But Madame Leota and the Raven aren't the only 2 spirits in the room. You may have forgotten that she does call in the spirits wherever they're at. With the help of serpents and spiders and the tail of a rat, that's 1 spirit. Another spirit who raps on a table when it's time to respond. 1 who awakens the spirits with his tambourine. Another who lets there be music from regions beyond. And the last one to join the party, a spirit who gives us a hint by ringing a bell. There is one more at Walt Disney World, though, that Disneyland doesn't have, and that's the ghost orb tracing out the signs of the zodiac. Yes, that's what it's doing. If you ever wonder what that weird wisp of dust is doing up there in the corner, it's tracing out the zodiac. And now the part you've all been waiting for, every single ghost in the ballroom explained, counted, and added to the tally. Because as you see, the spirits have begun to materialize and are assembling for a swinging wake. And they'll be expecting me. But I'm gonna stay here with you guys, don't worry, I'm not gonna leave you. Where in the ballroom, sometimes known as the Grand Hall, we see a haunted bust, yet another one in the embrace of a ghost, too. Below them we see Grams rocking in her rocking chair, whiling away the hours, forever stuck in her twilight years. I hope she knows where she is. Behind her, we can see that a hearse has crashed through the wall and different party guests are arriving out of the crashed vehicle. We see a ship captain who may or may not be someone with ties to Pirates of the Caribbean, a fancy lady carrying a parasol, which I am told is like an umbrella that doesn't protect you from the rain, a spectacled woman in an old-fashioned sun hat, an old gentleman with a cane who happens to be very rotund, a man in a suit with a magenta bow tie, and a woman holding a wicker basket. Above them all, the same amount of wraiths, 6, flying in through the broken window, seeking refuge from the storm outside that mysteriously stops by the time we enter the graveyard. Don't think about it. Meanwhile, enjoying the party down below is the birthday girl herself, blowing out her candles for the rest of eternity. But she's not alone. There are people there to help her celebrate her birthday party. There are 5 other ghosts, including Julius Caesar himself, and a ghost who seems to have drinking too much of the spirit wine and found himself underneath the table. Poor sod. Hopefully he wakes up in time. Hopefully he doesn't die of alcohol poisoning. Wait, did I just say that about a ghost? Above them, on the chandelier, we see Cleopatra and Mark Antony swaying side to side, enjoying the music, and of course, the old dastardly Pickwick. Now, the story of Pickwick is interesting because he is the only other ghost besides Madame Leota who was named in the original Imagineering documentation. That's right, Phineas, Ezra, and Gus, those were not canon at the beginning. Those only became canon because we used them enough that Disney just picked up on it. We, the Disney fans, pat yourself on the back for that one, made that canon. Pickwick is his official real name from the very beginning of the Haunted Mansion. This guy wasn't nicknamed. This is Pickwick, always has been, and always will be. His name has what I would consider two very plausible origins. One, his name could be based off of the novel The Pickwick Club by Charles Dickens because he is a Dickensian spirit the way he dresses and carries himself. Or what I consider to be the most plausible one, the one that I choose to believe is true. He was called Pickwick as sort of an in-joke among Imagineers who frequently passed a banquet hall called the Pickwick Center, going to and from the Imagineering campus in Glendale, California. Above them, the duelists, one of which is not throwing away his shot. And below them, we finally come upon the ballroom dancers, the women leading the men because Imagineering built the men leading the women when they were constructing the attraction, failing to realize that the image would be reversed because of the way the Pepper's ghost illusion is pulled off. And so the women lead the men in 6 pairs of 2 on both coasts, which is 12, which is, wow, 181 ghosts so far for the Magic Kingdom and 123 for Disneyland. We have to get those numbers up though, because Victor Geist is playing the organ, and all of the different ghosts flying out of the organ, judging by this behind the scenes photo that you may have seen in part 1 of this video, we'll count all of the spindles because each one attaches to one ghost. So judging by 4 spindles coming out of each of the 10 sockets, we have 40 banshees as part of this spinning organ ghost wheel, bumping Orlando up to 222 and Anaheim to 164. In Orlando, we pass by another unused changing portrait, the Opera Glasses Lady and her cat, +2, before entering the attic scene. In Disneyland, though, there is no changing portrait and just a mirror with some hats. The attic scene you think would be simple, with the Hatbox Ghost and the Phantom Piano Player at Disneyland and Constance at both coasts, but there are 5 other spirits. Those spirits named Ambrose Harper, Frank Banks, the Marquis de Doom, Reginald Kane, and of course, George Hightower. George and Constance being the 2 characters in the as of yet uncounted stretching portrait in the stretching room, and her 4 other husbands, Ambrose, Frank, Marquis, and Reginald, bringing the number of ghosts in the attic at Disney World to 6 and Disneyland to 8. Ambrose, Constance's first husband, was the naive but good-intentioned son of a successful farmer. Frank Banks, her second, was an Eastern banker, because of course he is, why else would he have that last name? The Marquis de Doom was a foreign diplomat with a military past. Reginald Kane was a celebrated railroad baron, gambler, and world-renowned gourmand, known here in America as someone who likes to eat a lot, and George Hightower was the relative of wealthy hotel owner Harrison Hightower III. And that, believe it or not, is the entirety of the attic scene. There are no other ghosts to be found here unless you're writing Haunted Mansion Holiday, but that's a complete different video on its own. Definitely no one else to see here. One of the most infamous characters in Disney Parks history. Never heard of him. Put him on the list. He looks like he could attack at any second. But honestly, I'm kind of done being inside this house. How about we move to, and now our tour moves outside into the graveyard, where we join our grim-grinning ghosts in the middle of an even larger celebration than that found in the ballroom. And although the trees do look quite intimidating, I do not think they are ghosts or spirits or even possessed in their own rights, so I choose not to count them. After passing underneath the crow, we pass by the caretaker and his dog, who are in fact alive and not happy haunts. We are immediately greeted by the best band in the mansion, the Phantom 5. Yes, they have a name. The group consists of Gordon, who plays the bagpipes, Chet, who's the drummer, Art Smith, who plays the flute, and Doris Johnson, who plays the harp. And finally, here at the end, Cappy Lewis playing the trumpet. And play the trumpet he shall. After the Phantom 5, we pass by our good friend the Hellhound. By the way, still not dead, not a very good Hellhound. After that, we pass by the King, Queen, and Duchess, a trio of royalty or nobility, I guess. The King and Queen enjoying their time on the seesaw, how romantic, and the Duchess swinging on a swing behind them. And then we come upon the real afterlives of the party, the 5 singing busts, known to us as the Mellow Men, where we can find Rollo Rumpkin, but he was in the graveyard in the front of the mansion, so we're not going to count him. Uncle Theodore, voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft.
They're
Yes, he's Tony the Tiger. Cousin Algernon, Ned Nubb, and Phineas P. Pock. Now, we did not count Phineas Pock's tombstone at the beginning of this video, even though it appears outside of the mansion because here he is on the inside. And if you recognize the name Pock, you may remember Prudence from the very beginning, the poetess. They share a last name, which means they are either a couple or related. Now, I'm not gonna go ahead and try to make any assumptions here, just know that they are family. After which we move into what is strangely the second crashed hearse scene in the Haunted Mansion. Do ghosts not know how to drive? Is that just a universal constant that all ghosts end up crashing whatever vehicle they're driving? It doesn't matter. We see wraiths riding their BMX bikes, popping ollies and doing wheelies and doing nollies and grollies and trolleys, of which there are 3. There's also a ghost enjoying spirit wine. Hopefully this one doesn't end up like the last one. I've seen it happen a lot. It's really sad. 2 Victorian ghosts also enjoying the ghost wine. 3 hanging out by the crashed hearse. This is probably their fault. We should probably charge them, give them a ticket or something in the graveyard. It's a legal parking spot. And then 1 just chilling, just sitting on top of a tombstone, singing, having a good time. I empathize with this guy. But we also can't forget the teapot ghost. Look at him, he's pouring tea. For whom? I guess we'll never know, but he's pouring it, and he's gonna serve it at some point. Any day now. And then the star of the attraction, the VIP of the Haunted Mansion, the greatest ever known, the most legendary ghost of them all, the Mummy, everybody. Give it up. There he is. Mumbling and not being heard. The dog is alive. He doesn't count, but this old man is not, so he does. We have this thing chilling in his mausoleum. Is it the devil? Is it a primordial entity from beyond the cosmos watching us as we go by? I don't know, but it's terrifying. Even if it is just a piece of cloth being blown by a fan, I'll sure have nightmares. 2 of the most entertaining ghosts in the Haunted Mansion, the opera singers, one by the name of Harriet, whom appears on a tombstone on the outside of the Haunted Mansion. Yes, that Harriet. And although the male opera singer has no name, one of the ghosts next to him does, and is also the only hitchhiking ghost in the attraction to appear more than once. Right there, it's Gus. Before we see him trying to hitch a ride home with us in our doom buggies, he is standing next to the executioner and the knight who is probably recently beheaded by the executioner. But before we meet up with my good friends, the hitchhiking ghost, we have to remember the poor spirit bricking himself up into his mausoleum. He's tired, he just wants to sleep, he's based off of an Edgar Allan Poe short story, leave him alone. After passing underneath the Raven for the last time, we come face to face with the 3 main boys, the hitchhiking ghosts, although we can only count 2 of them because we just saw Gus. And then we enter the exit crypt. Whoa, back it up, back up. Did you really think we would leave the graveyard without counting each and every one of the individual gravestones and pop-up ghosts? You have to be out of your mind if you think I was gonna move on without talking about them. Where's the fun in making a Haunted Mansion video if you can't go back and watch a bunch of ride-through videos and try to find every single tombstone in a super dark, blacklit attraction? Going all the way back to the beginning of the graveyard scene at Disneyland. Buckle up, we're gonna go through this very, very slow in the best possible lighting I could find. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81. Yes, you did just spend a minute of your life listening to a grown man count to 81. Now again, side note, I can't just get on the Haunted Mansion right now, or else I absolutely would. I may do an update video later on this month on what the actual number of indoor tombstones are at Disneyland, but so far 81 is the closest I could get. This is not counting crypts that obviously belong to some characters, like the trio singing at the end, the mummy, or the wine ghost. Those are their tombs and we've already counted them. But lucky for me, there is an entirely different number of tombstones at Walt Disney World. They do not line up at all. I've decided though to spare you from my counting once again, to reveal to you that, as far as I know, there are 94 tombstones in Walt Disney World's graveyard. And if you think that was pretty wild, get ready for the pop-up ghosts, of which there are 7. A little less crazy, I know. But here's where Disneyland has Disney World beat. Disney World's graveyard only has 6 pop-up ghosts. We have 1 more than you guys over there, making our grand total for the ghosts at Disneyland 299 and at Walt Disney World 355. I'm exhausted. Can you tell this video is taking a toll on my mental and physical health? So let's continue on to the end of the attraction. We pass by all 3 of the hitchhiking ghosts yet again, and at Disneyland we exit and go past Little Yoda +1 and the Laughing Phantom at the exit plus another one. But it's a bit more complicated than that, my friends. Little Leota is standing on top of a door. Now, the door is ornate. It looks like it could be the entrance to a crypt. Could it be that? Or perhaps just a maintenance door so they can get down there and do whatever they do down there underneath Leota. And as we established in the last video, Leota is not the spirit of someone who has died, but is instead a wisp or a fae. So I'm going to go ahead and add +1 for this mysterious maintenance door, just because. But before we leave Disneyland, it's worth noting the old pet cemetery to the right of the entrance of the Haunted Mansion. Now, I'm not sure if it's still there or if it's still in the same state, but based on this photograph, we can see 5 tombstones of different pets in the old pet cemetery. So add them to the list, and the grand total of spirits at the Disneyland Mansion is not 999, but is instead 307. But Walt Disney World's mansion is a bit more of a complicated exit. You have a bunch of different crypts around Leota as you leave, and then the crypts at the exit. And of course, who could forget old Thaddeus J. Toad rotting away there in the graveyard. The portrait next to Phineas when they're trying to hitchhike home with you is actually Cousin Maud from the very beginning of this video, so we don't need to count that. It's sort of an official answer to the murder mystery if you didn't get it while you were in line. Thanks to this lights on video of the Haunted Mansion, you can see that there are 12 crypts on either side of you as you exit the attraction under Little Leota, so that's 24. There are, unfortunately, no laughing phantoms as we leave the Orlando mansion, but if you look to your left, we're still not done counting. We see on our way out a bunch of people in spiritual repose, including Ouija board, I Am a Spook, and Manifestation. Adding to the party, we have Hallucination, Bewitch, Apparition, Metaphysics, Clairvoyance, and Poltergeist. It's just so funny, guys. I'm overjoyed. So that's 9 people buried there, and then we also see a reference to the legend of Bluebeard, with 7 faithful wives, the last of which did him in. So that's 8, counting Mr. Beard himself, and then we reach the Walt Disney World Pet Cemetery, a bit harder to see and get to than the Disneyland one, but a lot more references. We see buried here Waddle the Duck, who died in 1928, Rover the Dog, who died in 1898, Eric the Snake, who died in 1882, Maisie the Poodle, who died in 1923, a cat named Whiskers, Jed the Cockatoo, who died in 1889, and an unnamed monkey who died in 1871, but last and certainly not least, is J. Thaddeus Toad, whose attraction was sadly closed to make way for the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh over in Fantasyland. And that is all of the spirits at the Disney World Mansion, which brings us up to a grand total of 404, ghost page not found. Neither of these mansions add up to 999, I know. It's a sad and evil truth that we all must confront. Tony Baxter once said to count all of the faces on the wallpaper, and like I said earlier in the video, that would be impossible to do in a video. But Tony, this is my challenge to you, my friend. This is me reaching out. Give me a ruler in 20 minutes in the Haunted Mansion, and I will tell you how many faces are on the wallpaper and how it still doesn't add up to 999. Let's make it happen, everybody, but until that does happen, we are sitting currently at 404 and 307 respectively for Disney World and Disneyland. Now I just know that I missed one here or there, or counted one that I shouldn't have, or the other way around, and I'd love to hear what you guys think of this list and all of these numbers in the comments down below. I need to know if I got this right. I will probably make an update video when I actually get to ride the mansion in a couple months here. But until then, this is it. This is the full number of ghosts you can find within both of the mansions. What did you think? Did you like the video? It was a 2-parter. It was pretty fun. But if that still isn't enough Haunted Mansion content for you, don't worry. In the next few weeks, I will be doing an interview with Kat Cressida, the voice and face of Constance Hatchaway in the attic. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go through Disney trivia, talk about the mansion, and talk about some other things that she did in the Disney parks. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I hope you guys can all join us. But until next time, everybody, I will see you all a little later in the end card. Hello everybody, thank you so much for watching this part 2 of the 2-part Haunted Mansion Every Single Ghost Explained special. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like, a comment, and even subscribe if you're new around here and you aren't already. If you can't tell, I'm a little tired from making that video, but it was a lot of fun. It was a labor of love. A big thank you to my supporters over at patreon.com. Even just $1 gets you access to most of the perks, and this week is no different. Thank you all to my Patreon supporters. All of you guys are all great. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Offhand Disney. I do stuff over there sometimes as well. Please be sure, if you want to learn more about all of the individual ghosts in the Haunted Mansion, to listen to my Foolish Mortals podcast, which I co-host with my friend Disney Dan. There's also going to be a link in the description down below for that. And like I said, stay tuned. In the next couple of weeks, I will be having an interview with Kat Cressida, who is Constance in the attic, but a bunch of other different characters at the Disney parks, and a bit of a Disney fan herself. So we're going to have a Disney trivia contest. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see you all there. And until next time, everybody, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. That will probably not be Haunted Mansion themed if I were to hazard a guess. That's alright. Goodbye.